An Accidental Meeting, written by Mighty Mouse, 1944. Plummeting through the atmosphere, I wrestled with the controls of my small craft. She was in an unpowered and mostly uncontrolled descent. In the back of my mind, I thanked my father for making me take a starship flying lessons. The future queen might be knowledgeable about many things to be a proper leader, I could still hear him saying. 20 seconds to impact, said the ship's computer. Yeah, I know, I growled through gritted teeth. Make yourself useful and run a scan on the planet. Planet Sol 3, local designation Earth, classification Deathworld, atmosphere breathable, inhabitants 2.6 million species, 1 sapient. Homo sapiens or humans. Temperament varies, impact imminent, local designation for crash location low. Everything was swimming as I came to. The first thing I noticed was a pounding in my ears. Wait, that's not my head. That's outside my ship. My blurry vision slowly came into focus. The yacht's wrecked cockpit was in shambles, but intact. The sunlight coming through the cracked and spider-webbed windscreen was blinding, far brighter than the sunlight back home. As I squinted against the piercing rays, I saw the source of the splitting noise. A bipedal creature had hammered a stick of salts into the latch of the windscreen. With a heave from the far end, the windscreen's latch cracked, and the bulbous canopy slid down towards the creature. It jumped out of the way, seemingly surprised. As it did so, I could make out its attire. Over a pair of blue pants was a checkered shirt with some kind of black vest. On its head it wore a helmet. Slung across its chest was an odd object. It vaguely resembled a plasma long blaster, but the battery was much larger on the bottom of the weapon, immediately in front of the trigger instead of above it. Additionally, it lacked any sort of coil system to energize plasma, and no containment field generator to speak of. Another smaller weapon sat in a holster on the creature's upper thigh. I quickly disengaged my pilot's harness and drew my pistol, hoping to get a drop on the creature, but it was as fast as I, whipping its blaster into the shouldered position. "Who are you?" it asked in a commanding tone. The voice was deep and its words sharp. I was taken aback. I didn't know the locals spoke Theraxan. The pronunciation was a little off, but it sounded nearly identical to my native tongue. "Do you speak Theraxan?" "No, I speak English," the creature responded. It seemed as bewildered as I. The creature lowered its blaster slightly, still being careful to keep it pointed at me. It raised its head up from aiming down its sights to look at me directly. Its face was masculine, and wisps of brown hair could be seen below its helmet. His skin was tanned, and his build muscular. "Never mind the language. I'll ask you again, who are you and why are you here?" he asked again, this time less forcefully. "I'm Princess Jassa from the Theraxia. I was on a diplomatic mission when we were attacked by slavers. I managed to escape in my personal yacht and made a blind escape jump. In the commotion, I didn't realize my engines had been shut out. As soon as I dropped out of warp, I was hurtling through your planet's atmosphere with no engine control. I tried to land her as best as I could, but..." I gestured with my upper limb to the ship and the trail she had dug through this landscape. "Well, you did a hell of a job," he said, the one I assumed to be human. Lowered his rifle, I did the same with my pistol. "At least you crashed in a cornfield and not in the middle of a town. Are you hurt? I'm Jack, by the way. Hey, I saw that you were knocked out in there. Not sure about your physiology, but when a human takes a blow like that, we worry about post—" "Look out," I interrupted, as I noticed one of the slavers' atmospheric scarcraft buzz over the nearby line of massive plants. Jack ducked instinctively as the craft flew low over us, banked and came to a hover about 300 feet away. I ducked down back into the cockpit. Looking over, I saw the human taking cover behind the yacht's nose cone. He quickly folded 2 prongs down from the front of his blaster and rested it on the front of the yacht, aiming at the slaver craft. Not that it would do much good. That model of craft is equipped with plasma-disrupting electromagnetic field. "Put down your weapons and come out. The princess is ours," came the slaver's voice over the craft's loudspeaker. "Those the slavers?" asked Jack. I nodded. "And if we don't feel like surrendering," Jack shouted back to the slavers, "then there will be death," the slaver responded. "Very well, have it your way," Jack retorted. I started to speak, trying to inform Jack that fighting was pointless. The ship was immune to plasma bolts, and its own macro lasers would fry us in seconds. but his muscles were already in motion to fire his blaster. As Jack pulled the trigger, I was expecting the distinctive hiss pop of a plasma bolt firing, followed by the fizzling out once it reached the magnetic field. Instead, there was a deafening bang. I closed my main eyes instinctively at the sound, but my upper eyes caught the spectacle. A brief tongue of flame shot out of the end of Jack's weapon, along with a cloud of smoke, and a not insignificant concussive blast. Almost instantly after the sound, I heard glass shatter. Peeking out above the cockpit room, I saw a hole punched clean through the front cockpit windscreen of the slaver's scout ship. And behind the windscreen, a hole was also clean through the pilot's helmet and head. The ship lurched forward towards me. Jack tackled me to the floor of the cockpit as the anti-gravity craft narrowly missed the yacht and crashed in a fireball. Jack was a lot heavier than he looked laying on top of me. The vest he was wearing was filled with something very hard. Jack quickly pushed himself up, brushing himself off, and offered his hand to help me up. "Sorry, but it would be very poor first contact if I let you die right after meeting you, Princess. You all right?"
"Yeah, I'm fine. Slavers must have followed my distress beacon. What in the blazes is that thing?"
I said, pointing to the weapon that now hung loose on the sling at Jack's side. "This," he said, motioning to it, "this baby is the right arm of the free world, also known as an FAL.
Well, it's not like any plasma blaster I've ever seen."
"It's not a plasma blaster. It's a battle rifle firing 7.62 NATO.
7.62 NATO?
NATO, with a short A." Jack squinted his eyes at something behind us. "But that's for another time. I see more slavers incoming. Quick, follow me." Before I could react, Jack had grabbed my hand and was running towards the tall plants. I barely had time to scoop up my plasma pistol as he dragged me out of the yacht. Shortly after we cleared the wreck, he let go and ran ahead of me. We barely made it to the line of vegetation before the slavers arrived. As I hid behind one of the large plant stalks, larger across than I was, I could see the slavers' craft slow and approach the wreck site. The ship was larger, one of their transports. It touched down and several thugs hopped out. The transport took off and continued to hover at a safe distance. There were 7 thugs poking around the wreck. One of them turned and pointed at the line of foliage where Jack and I hid. Slowly, they started approaching, shock net casters at the ready. I looked over at Jack. He had leveled his rifle at the approaching slavers, using his large stalk as cover.
"What do we do?"
I whispered. "Let them come close 50 yards, then mow them down," Jack responded calmly.
"Their armor is plasma resistant," I whispered.
"But is it bulletproof?"
"How would I know?"
"Then we find out. Besides, they're not wearing helmets, so just don't miss with that fancy pistol of yours," Jack said with a smirk. I rolled my eyes and readied my weapon. In the back of my mind, I could hear my father's voice. "Breathe in, breathe out. Fire, don't flinch. The weapon won't bite you." "Hope I can see you again, Dad." "On my mark, you start on the right, and I'll take the left," said Jack. "Steady, steady, now!" Jack's weapon roared as he punched 2 rounds clean through the first slaver. I started picking off the rightmost slaver. I missed more than I hit, but Jack's rifle rapidly cut down 5 slavers, while I managed to take out 2. "Not bad, but there'll probably be more. We should get back to my house. It's more defensible." Jack beckoned me to follow him. Then we moved quickly to a boxy-looking structure. Jack opened the door and I followed him inside. The inside was not unlike a domicile back home. I must have been looking around oddly. "Something wrong?" asked Jack.
"No, it's quite nice, but if a bit drab. Kind of reminds me of some places back home, just built on top of the ground instead of below it."
We were standing in what I presumed to be the meal preparation and feeding room.
"Why is there only one chair?"
"'Cause there's only one of me," Jack responded matter-of-factly. Jack snatched a small boxy object with a thick wire coming off the top of it. "Advantages of working on an ambulance. Direct line to dispatch." I had no idea what either of those things were, but before I could ask, Jack pushed a button on the side of the object and spoke into it. "Jack Waster to Cotton County Dispatch."
"Jack Waster
to Cotton County Dispatch. Come and dispatch." "Damn, these things always fail at the worst time," Jack said frustratedly.
"What is an ambulance?" I asked.
"It's like a mobile hospital. I pick up sick and injured people and take care of them until we get them to a hospital proper. You don't have them, like, on your planet?"
"No. Normally the police take the person in their flyers."
"Huh. Well, no matter. We better get ready in case some more slavers show up." Jack and I spent the next few minutes readying the building, arranging furniture to create makeshift cover, reloading weapons.
Jack, you never explained the one chair,
I inquired. Yes, I did. I said there is only one of me.
Don't you have family?
Yeah, but they live in the East Coast.
Friends?
Scattered across the country. We mainly hang out online, Jack explained.
So you don't ever have anyone else in your home?
Not really.
That's kind of sad,
I said. Doesn't it ever get lonely? He shrugged. Sometimes. Jack handed me something called a Glock and 2 magazines with small gold and copper cylinders in it. Here, use these. They'll fare better than the plasma against the slave armor. I took my place behind the overturned table and turned the Glock over in my hands. It wasn't too dissimilar to my plasma pistol. Suddenly, Jack yelled incoming, pointing to the horizon out to the living room window. We steadied ourselves, awaiting the coming onslaught. Suddenly, 2 smaller craft swooped in behind the dropships, rapidly blasting away with lasers. The rearmost dropship was hit almost instantly, spinning out of control into the ground. The second attempted an evasive maneuver, but the fighters were faster. A shot struck the fuel tank and the dropship disintegrated into a fiery explosion.
The Royal Protectors!
I jumped up from behind the overturned table and ran out into the clearing in front of the building. Jack followed, protesting. Get back here! It's not safe!
But those are my father's bodyguards. They must have picked up my distress signal, too.
More craft came over the horizon, an entire squadron of 12 Royal Protectors, fighters, and 3 assault transports. They banked slightly and landed softly on the clearing. Killian, the head of the Royal Guard, stepped out. Jessa, we figured that you were dead. His face quickly soured as he reached for his blaster. And just who are you?
This is Jack, a human. He saved me.
Jessa, humans are a savage race who threaten to irradiate their entire planet on a regular basis. They cannot be trusted.
Not this one. He works as a healer, caring for people. He pulled me out of the wreckage and killed quite a lot of slavers that came after me.
Is that true? Killian demanded. I don't know about quite a lot, but I got a few, Jack responded. Very well, since the princess seems to have taken a liking to you, you may keep your life. Now, princess, let's go home. Killian and I started walking towards the landing assault craft. I turned over my shoulder.
Aren't you coming, Jack?
Absolutely not, Killian protested. I'm not having a human on my ship. Who knows what he could do?
Hey, Killian, what's your job description? I asked.
To protect the royal family and serve the commands.
Exactly. And my command is to allow me to show my new friend my home.
Killian huffed and continued walking. Jack jogged over to me, and soon we were speeding through the atmosphere towards the Royal Guard cruiser. I was going home, and I had so much to show Jack, and no shortage of questions to ask him. End of story. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.